This is big breaking emergency news. We are now being issued a urgent warning from the US military and the US Coast Guard right now. We are being issued this warning and this advisory by the US Coast Guard Cyber Command. All right, because the Coast Guard has a cyber division and they are extremely worried that we could see major shutdowns of our critical infrastructure and our supply chain. That's what the US military is warning of and getting prepared for right now. All right, so you need to be getting prepared too. Let's dive into the details here really quick. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos a day, keeping you guys updated on this big urgent news. All right, so you can see here this was posted on the US Coast Guard and US Department of Homeland Security website, right? And they are warning that we could see major attacks on our supply chain, and they're warning of attacks even on sea vessels, right? And remember what just happened a few weeks ago? It seems like this has just been memory hold, but this is a major event where the Francis Scott Key Bridge was destroyed by a ship that's on this advisory right here, on this picture right here, right? And they're even warning that vessels and ships are at risk. They're warning that ports could be shut down, and this is potentially what we could have seen just a few weeks ago, and we could see more of it, and that's what they're warning of. All right, and the FBI is actually investigating that situation as a criminal investigation now as well. So let's get into the details here. You can see it says cyber threats to watch out for in the maritime transportation system. All right, this is an article that was just posted on the US Coast Guard's official website. Right, it says cyber threats to marine transportation systems continued to surge last year as more sophisticated perpetrators tried new ways to disrupt systems in U.S. vessels, shipyards, waterways, and port facilities, according to a newly released report from Coast Guard Cyber. All right, so you see that there are new ways to disrupt systems in U.S. vessels, shipyards, waterways, and port facilities. So this is big that this advisory is coming out on the back of this ship that wiped out this major bridge, and it's causing this port to have major delays. They still haven't completely cleaned up and opened up this waterway because they're doing an active investigation now. Now they have the FBI out there weeks later, and they're looking at everything, and they haven't wanted to disturb it. All right, so this is big that this advisory is coming out right now, and this could have been what we were seeing just a few weeks ago, and we could definitely see more of this. All right, there were barges that were flying down the Ohio River just a week ago as well that were crashing into bridges and causing bridges to temporarily be closed down. Right, you can see here though they are saying that in their 2023 cyber trends and insight into marine environment report, all right, this was just released, they are saying they noted an uptick in nation state actors targeting critical U.S. infrastructure, including the MTS, the Marine Transportation System. It says, in fact, incursions by China-sponsored Volt Typhoon, a group seeking to hack into U.S. infrastructure systems using network-facing devices, were part of what prompted a February cyber executive order bolstering the Coast Guard's authority to protect the MTS from cyber attacks. All right, so this is big, and the Coast Guard's even talking about now requiring ships to have escorts. People were wondering why weren't there any escorts for this ship. They are now talking about making that a federal military rule with the Coast Guard that they have to have escorts once they are within a certain distance of any major ports. All right, so this is big, and we are potentially going to see more of this. You can see here it says, in addition, the service is currently developing regulations that will allow the Coast Guard to require vessels and waterfront facilities to mitigate cyber incidents that could cause harm. And captains of the ports can now prevent a suspect vessel from entering a harbor. All right, so that's big. That's big that they're that worried about it, that they're going to give the captains of the port, they're going to give them the authority to block suspect vessels from entering the harbor. So they're really worried about these sabotage situations targeting our ports and our critical infrastructure, and they're creating these new rules to deal with it, right? You can see here it says, as stewards of maritime trade, it's our collective responsibility to safeguard our ports and maritime infrastructure. That's what Rear Admiral John C. Vann, commander of Coast Guard Cyber, said. He also went on to say, quote, the consequences of a cyber attack on the port infrastructure extend far beyond financial losses. Disruption to the supply chain can have cascading effects on global economies, impacting industries and livelihoods. All right, so this is big, and this is what the commander of Coast Guard Cyber is warning of, that we could see major disruptions. And he's saying, yeah, it's far beyond financial. We could see food disrupted, fertilizer disrupted, critical resources for the military disrupted. All these things could be knocked offline from an attack like this. And also check this out. This is another thing to think about when we're talking about ports and suspect vessels, as well as that these shipping containers, they can be filled with missile systems, right? And these are actually developed by top weapons contractors around the world, right? Weapon contractors for China, and the Chinese government produces things very similar to this. It's called Club K missile system, and it's a missile system that can be placed inside of these shipping containers, and there could be hundreds of them placed on a single ship that will all launch at the same time, right? The US also is working on very similar technologies as well, and this was actually being showcased at a military weapons showcasing just a few months ago, where they're showing futuristic things that the military is working on. They were actually showing one of these that the US military is working on. So they're doing this right now, right? And this is also a major risk, having these shipping containers and these random vessels just showing up. Anyone can just show up and enter our ports, right? So something to be aware of, something to be prepared for, right? And this is all the reason to have your preps ready now, right? In case there's any major disruptions to the supply chain. And he's saying it's going to be more than just financial. This is going to disrupt everyday life. We're going to see food disruptions. All these things could be caught up if the supply chain is attacked like this. And if an attack does happen, they might have to have lockdowns around the country to prevent more, or to figure out what's going on in other ports. All right, so if one port's hit, then we could see lockdowns in multiple different ports to make sure there's not any more attacks. So something to be aware of. This is 5th generational warfare that we're dealing with. These unconventional warfare schemes that you don't really think about, right? They're kind of in the background, and this is how they sneak up on us, though, is they take advantage of things that aren't being paid attention to. You can also see here that this article just came out today. It says, water facilities warned to improve cybersecurity as nation-state hackers pounce. It says the White House has asked states to submit plans by June 28th to prevent hacks on water systems, and a congressional bill proposes new cyber rules for the sector. All right, so they're worried that these water systems are going to be attacked. The White House actually contacted governors last month and told them to get these plans ready, and they have to be ready by June 28th. These cybersecurity plans to prevent major attacks on our water systems. All right, so these things are happening and they're coming soon. And we already saw, look at all these outages we saw in the past 24 hours. We saw nationwide 911 outages. States all around the country had their 911 systems offline, and this is still ongoing. They're trying to restore it, but it's slowly coming back. And that could have potentially been a cyber attack, potentially blocking the 911 call service code, so that specific code is not allowed to go through, right, for specific providers. It seemed like that something along those lines was happening, or some kind of system that a lot of these providers all use was compromised. All right, so we're seeing these cyber attacks, we're seeing these shutdowns. There was also a internet shutdown yesterday, okay? Major internet provider in the US that services millions of people in over 25 different states. They actually shut down their services just in the past 24 to 48 hours due to a major cyber attack, right? Because they're worried that their systems are compromised. So this is happening left and right. And the timing of this geopolitically seems like this could be related. All right, so make sure you guys are getting prepared. Make sure you're getting ready. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe button for me. I'm posting multiple videos, just keeping you guys updated, and it helps to get these warnings out so people know what the U.S. military is preparing for, what the White House is preparing for. This is coming from the White House. That's coming from the Coast Guard and DHS Coast Guard Cyber Command, which essentially has been given these new powers over the past year to protect our ports and protect against these rogue vessels that we potentially saw for the Francis Scott Key Bridge, right? So get yourself ready, get prepared. The timing of this is not a coincidence. There's escalations happening overseas right now, right? And we could potentially see these ramp up, these cyber attacks ramp up domestically, because we most likely won't see major bombs being dropped inside the United States, all right? At least most likely anytime soon. But we are going to see these cyber attacks and these cyber incidents and these shutdowns of our supply chain, and potentially even small attacks like terror events inside the United States as well. But that's what they're going to do. It's going to be death by 1,000 cuts, where we just have service after service going offline. And every time this happens, it costs billions of dollars. All right, there's major losses every single time. Industries are wiped out. People go out of businesses. Businesses are wiped out every single time this happens. All right, so this affects real people, and then people can't get the service that they need either. People are not getting their medicine. There was another cyber attack on Change Healthcare. They were the ones that a few months ago were causing nationwide healthcare and prescription outages, and people couldn't fill their prescriptions. That's still ongoing. And they actually just underwent another cyber attack, and it's now causing even more disruptions. They were trying to mitigate a lot of the damage and get these systems back online, but now they've suffered another attack, and a lot of the progress that they've made has been rescinded, right? So Get yourself ready. The military is getting ready for this. The National Guard's getting ready for this. Everyone's getting ready for these major events, and you should be too, right? And there's no issue. The more you're prepared, the more you're ready, you're not really going to be worried, right? This will just be like an update, a news update, right? That's what it is for me. I just want to know the latest thing going on, but we're prepared. We're ready for whatever happens. We're going to be ready. It's not about being scared. It's about seeing it seems like we're one step closer. So be that much more prepared, that much more ready, right? So thank you guys. Please get yourself ready. Please get your family ready. Get your mind, your spirit, your soul prepared as well. Be working on these things because that's critical as well too. Being able to deal with the situations that are coming next, right? And they're even saying here, this is something that I wanted to cover too. I forgot to get to this. It says maritime shipping companies, logistics and technology service providers, liquid natural gas processors and distributors, and petrochemical companies are common targets, right? So they're worried we could see our natural resources shut off as well. Pipelines shut down. Imports, exports of these critical resources shut down. They're saying it's not difficult to imagine what could happen if a bad actor was able to alter mixtures, discharge, stop discharge, or even ignite these chemicals. All right, that's another thing that is extremely dangerous, is that exactly they could ignite one of these gas pipelines and cause major damage. There could be sabotage. Look at all the sabotage going on with the airlines. It has to be something. There's no way all these things are happening right now. I think it's a combination of things going on, but I think one of the main components is sabotage that's happening right now with our airlines, and you can bet that there's people potentially sabotaging our critical infrastructure as well. And they're saying that these ransomware attacks have increased 80% in 2023 from 2022. All right, and they're probably going to increase even more in 2024. So get yourself prepared, get yourself ready. That's what the military is doing. That's what the White House is doing. That's what the states are doing. The governors are doing. So thank you guys. I hope you have big blessings for your life, your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.